Bring in Lieutenant Colonel Darin Gaub. He's an Army veteran, Black Hawk helicopter pilot, International Battalion commander, and military strategist, also co-founder and executive director of Restore Liberty. Colonel, I want to start here. Picking up on what Trey was just reporting, how will winter impact the war in Ukraine?
First of all, thanks, Arthur, for having me on. And yeah, winter is a pretty big deal in this area. First of all, winter is going to impact the civilian population the most, but it's also going to impact the military forces fighting. In some regards, it's going to help because it makes the ground more solid. It makes it easier to fight on if you're going to work with tanks and armored personnel carriers and things like that. But I think ultimately what this is going to come down to is the ability for the civilian population in the east and south and those affected to survive. The winter there is pretty brutal, and that effect will be seen not only in Ukraine, but it'll expand outside of that country as well.
Very sad conditions. So let's talk about the bridge explosion. If Ukraine was behind the explosion on the Kerch Bridge, is that considered offense or defense? And is Putin using that to legitimize somehow his continued barbaric attacks and unprovoked war on Ukraine?
Yeah, I think that it would be considered both offense and defense, with mostly offense. And I know Putin has already said that his intention is to rebuild that bridge and be finished by July or so of 2023. Now, that doesn't mean that Ukraine is not going to continue to target that bridge. It's a long bridge. It is difficult to secure, and it's going to move supplies and resources into the Crimean region. And Ukraine knows that. And I would not be surprised if they continue to look at that as a very substantial target. But what they can also expect then is that Putin will do what he's doing now, and has done over the last 72 hours or so, which is a flurry of activity and multiple rocket launches and drone use to, in essence, punish the entire country of Ukraine for their actions on that bridge.
Yeah, even though he started this. Meanwhile, President Putin has assigned a new commander. 6,000 of his soldiers have been killed in Ukraine in the past 8 months. So does Russia have the troop stamina, the weapon stock to continue this fight for much longer?
It's almost taking on the final bouts of an extremely long boxing match where the two fighters are leaning on each other, and it looks really slow to those watching. But you got two sides that are both exhausted, and I do not believe right now that Russia has the capacity to carry on at that level. That you've seen in a couple of weeks, they're going to finish this conscription and try to raise up to 300,000 soldiers, and their own people are rebelling against that, and it's not very popular. I just don't see it sustainable.
They're running for their lives. Literally, they're leaving their home country so they don't get snatched off the street and forced to fight in this war. So let me ask you this: as you're saying that it seems that it's coming into its final stages, if you will. I mean, if Putin realizes, because he keeps talking about, I'm going to use nukes, but if he realizes there will be massive consequences if he were to use any nuclear attack on Ukraine, widespread or more targeted, I mean, I don't know, is this why he's ramping up his conventional military attacks on Ukraine? You know, kind of your analogy, he can continue the body blows because they're within the rules, so the ref won't call off the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you change the game when you start talking and actually using the nuclear option. And Putin has had health issues. We know that he's declining, I guess you could say, in his health, and that you don't know whether he's going to pull off what in the movie Hunt for Red October would be called the Crazy Ivan maneuver. Will he do that and lose whatever support he may have internationally already, and really change the landscape of the globe in doing it?
And more so, does he care?
Only one man who knows.
Yeah, and he's that one man who doesn't even care. Yeah.
Is it Putin or is it Mother Russia? What's his priority? It's hard to say at this point.
You know, listen, of course, Colonel, we can list the weapons and military aid the U.S. has provided Ukraine, and it's substantial. But is it enough? I mean, what will it ultimately take to end Putin's brutal war in Ukraine and her civilians, as we saw in Trey Yank's report? I mean, it seems like no threat of consequences seem to deter him. Is there something that'll stop him?
Well, first of all, you really have to have the truly united and focused Western Europe and Europe in general. And that is at risk given what is going to result from the energy crisis that's going to impact Ukraine with costs, both in energy and food security. But without that solid unity in a fully focused supplying of the Ukraine forces, I don't think you're going to get him to stop the way we would like him to stop. It's possible for sure, but right now it's going to be difficult to do that.
Yeah, energy is key right now, especially the winter months are upon us. I have to leave it there, but I'd love to have you back on, Lieutenant Colonel Darin Gaub. Thank you so much.